Let's talk about other settings I like to turn on, like the grid. I also like to turn on the leveler, making sure that we're even, we're not crooked. So these are the settings I like to use. I like recording video at 4K at 24 frames per second. That's what the FPS stands for. And cinematic mode, I like having it at 4K at 24 frames per second. And let's get down to the composition. I like having the grid on. I like having the level on. I like having the front mirror, the mirror front camera. So if I'm wearing a shirt that has a phrase, I want people to be able to read it. And view outside of the frame. So if I'm shooting a video, I want to see what's outside of it. I don't want to have a black box so I don't see what's going on outside of it. That way, if I want to film or capture it, I'll be able to see it. So I like having this setting on. And that's pretty much it. So as you can see here, my leveler is on, my grid, those lines, they're there. And yeah, because there's nothing worse than watching a video and then it just feels off. And then the thing that makes it off is, even though it could be shot well, lighting, audio is great, it just wasn't leveled right. It just seems so obscure and weird. And a lot of times it's because the operator or you did not set the camera to a proper level. So make sure your camera is leveled. I also turn on a couple other settings. I like shooting it at 4K. 4K is great. It's phenomenal. You get higher quality video. Instagram is going to crumble it up anyway. So it makes sense to actually shoot in 4K. So when Instagram brings it down, your quality isn't diminished a lot. So if you shoot at 1080p, which is pretty much recommended, your video quality will lower a little bit because you're uploading it at 1080p, which isn't high enough, is not higher than 4K. So think about this. You start high, it's going to bring it lower, but it's not going to bring as low as it would be if it was in 1080. It makes sense to me. It might not make sense. It might not even be a scientific fact, but it has always worked for me. When I shoot in 4K, I upload it to Instagram, it looks super crispy. All right. Those are pretty much the settings that I use. And I just make sure I turn it on cinematic mode and then I hit record. That's pretty much it. Now, cinematic video on an iPhone does take a lot of time to process. That's pretty much the toughest thing about that. So it records at 4K, cinematic, everything, because you can make some adjustments later. So I can actually adjust the video later if I wanted to. So let's say if I had my wife here and I shot at f2, it's pretty much going to really only focus on one person, or me, the closest person. But if I wanted to actually include my wife or include the background, I can actually make some adjustments later on. That's the cool thing about iPhone cinematic video. Whereas if I have a traditional photo or video camera, if I shoot it at f1.4, which is the lowest aperture on this lens particularly, and I'm only focused on me, and then I end up having a vlog with somebody else, it's really just going to focus on one person, because at f1.4, it's such a shallow depth of field. It's just so narrow. It can only focus on one person. And that's going to really suck. So like, look at here. So right now I'm blocking me. Now I'm pretty much out of focus, right? Like you could see that I'm blurry in my camera lens and my camera is in focus. That's what I'm talking about. So the lower the F number, the more the blurry the background gets, and it can only necessarily really focus on one person.